Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It is a feel-good Friday morning on the Smooth Breakfast. Yours truly is Ayokunmi Kekireakun. Time to take you into the headlines, making the rounds in the papers across all the national dailies in Nigeria. This is Freshly Pressed, brought to you by First Bank. It's a great Friday morning and always a great time to talk about what's making the rounds in the dailies. Believe me when I say that. So many things to get into this morning. As always, there's always one thing or the other to talk about. You know, news, the gift that actually keeps on giving. Joining me this morning, well, I mean, part of the dynamic duo this morning, joining me right now is Joseph Obari. AB will join us along the way. Joseph, very good morning to you. Great to have you on Freshly Pressed, as always.
Good morning to meet you here, Ayo. Listeners, you're all welcome to the show this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely fantastic. And talking about the listeners, just to let you know that you can join us as you always do, as we love when you do, is to send your messages into us on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981. That's the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on the live stream on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos on your YouTube app, or if you're using the website, that's youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. Right, just let's start our journey in the Punch newspaper, and this is one that broke yesterday, and it's talking about the Chinese firm targeting Nigerian assets in 8 countries. Now, that story started with the grounding of presidential jets, which sounded really absurd to me at the time, and of course, updates have come up between then and yesterday night or thereabouts. So, just to get into this particular story here. Zhongshan Fucheng Industrial Investment Company Limited, the Chinese firm that got a court injunction to ground 3 presidential jets belonging to the federal government in Europe, has initiated plans to seize other Nigerian assets in the United Kingdom, in the USA, and in 6 other countries as well. How exactly did we get here?
Well, I think this stems from an agreement between the Ogun State government for the development of a free trade zone in 2007. Yeah, so when they had that agreement, but somewhere along the line, the Ogun State government wasn't satisfied with the performance of Zhongshan and decided to terminate that contract. And then the company went ahead and filed actions in other jurisdiction to try to recover payment from Nigerian government. Well, so now before I delve into the story itself, I want to speak as a media person. And I'm very disappointed in the presentation of this story by the Punch. They try to give the impression that they're doing an exclusive story, and then presented, oh, they have got documents that show that Nigerian government did this, did that. But the story was without substance because it did not tell us more. It did not tell us what the origin of this story, this whole thing is, this embarrassing situation is. It did not tell us what the federal government is saying about this. It only said that this comes as the federal government vowed to protect its foreign assets from predators. Who are you? Who is the source of this government comment? And what's the origin of it? In fact, it comes out by reading other media to know that there was actually a government statement yesterday, and Punch didn't even reflect it in their story. So this is very appalling journalism, and any journalist listening to us should know that you can't take readers for granted. You can't leave a story without substance. I mean, this hanging. Yeah, they want to seize Nigerian assets, federal government assets. You didn't even go beyond that to say that this agreement had to do with state government. And background the story. If you claim you're doing an exclusive, then go deep, dive deep into it and get all the facts and present to your readers. But only the truth simply is that the federal government has responded and said it has no contractual relationship with Zhongshan.
Are you there, Joseph? Looks like technology wants to play a part in our conversation this morning. I hope Joseph can get back online on this conversation. ASAP because he has an interesting take on this particular matter as we get along on Freshly Pressed. And there's also so much more that we need to talk about this morning. We'll try to get Joseph back on track in a little bit and, of course, continue the conversation on Freshly Pressed right here on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. And, talking about that particular, so, okay, it seems like Joseph is back with us right now. I just hope the gremlins have gotten out of the system. All right, Joseph, welcome back. It seems like the network was deciding to play a fast one on us.
Yeah, Nigerian ancestors are after us, I guess. So, all right. So as I was saying, the story is simply that the Ogun State government had entered this agreement with the Chinese firm, and they are not satisfied. They were not satisfied with how that contract was performing, and they terminated in 2015. So the federal government is saying, look, we are not privy to your contract you have with Ogun State government. And there is a difference between the state government and the federal government. So you can't begin to file action, roping in the federal government that has who is not a party to your agreement or your contract. And the federal government alleges that the company has represented itself before the courts in Europe by filing facts that are not correct. So, and then using those facts to obtain arbitration judgment. And it's curious. I don't understand how it is possible for a company to go into arbitration and get awards against Nigerian government if there was a proper representation by Ogun State government and even the federal government. If federal government is party to that arbitration is never done arbitrarily. It is not like obtaining an ex parte motion behind you. Arbitration means that parties are sitting down at the table and
both parties are
with an
involved.
arbitrator who is looking at the fact. Yeah. So the facts are they're being examined and the arbitrator now awards. So who was this award of $60 million against? Was it Ogun State government or was it the federal government? Was federal government part of it? I think we need more clarity, even from the federal government itself or Ogun State government. And curiously, the journalists did not even bother to ask Ogun State government any question. They didn't even call the Ogun State government to say, give us more enlightenment on this matter. I mean, if you're doing an exclusive, you go look for the facts, for goodness sake. So all we know is that some company is trying to embarrass our government, the federal government, using these tactics of going to court, going to arbitration. And it leaves a whole lot of questions unanswered. And then the intelligent journalist should ask these questions and get the answers for us, for goodness sake. But anyway, that's what it is. We kind of, when it comes to government contracts, and we kind of gloss over many things. People are eager to sign contracts, even in government. We are really reading the fine lines. And then here we are. A government is our whole federal government is being embarrassed by one tiny company from China. So it's unfortunate.
It is. Now, Joseph, just to touch on something that you mentioned a little earlier about misrepresentation of facts and so on and so forth. Now, this company got an injunction to ground those jets and also looking to, should I say, put their foot down on other Nigerian assets. But did the courts who actually should I say signed off on that injunction, did they have the assets? Did they have a responsibility to actually quote unquote fact check before actually giving that particular order? I mean, this company's issue is with the Ogun State government, but now they're saying we want to stand on the federal government's properties. I mean, how exactly does that work from a legal point of view? Did you get the question, Joseph? Can you hear me, Joseph?
Okay, you remember there was a similar case as that. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
All
me?
right. All right. Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Ayo, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Joseph. Go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Go on. Go on. Hmm. All right. The Gremlins are back into the system. I mean, what a morning and what a time for this to actually be an issue. We'll get it all sorted out as Freshly Pressed gets along on a Friday morning. I mean, of all these,
Ayo, can
yes, I can. Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
you
I
can
can hear
hear
you
me
loud and
now?
clear. Yes, I can. I can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I don't seem to see the images anymore. Okay, so I was saying that, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Clearly.
All right. So I was saying that there was a similar case. We can do a corollary with this one. There was a similar case where I think it's called PDI and ISO company that made accusations against the federal government. They had a contract that existed and all that Nigeria is owing them. At the end of the day, the government was able to prove to foreign courts that they really don't have any contractual obligation. These people are just simply shopping for money, free money from somewhere. And all the government made this case. So yeah, there are some companies are smart. From business people are fraudulent and smart in the way they operate. Am I still on at all? I don't know.
Yes, you are still on, Joseph. You are. You are very much on right now. But just hold that thought because we need to take a very quick breather right here on Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. When we come back in, we'll continue with the stories and, of course, get a whole lot more insight. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. I can hear you,
Can you hear
Joseph.
me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can
Okay,
hear you.
so
On a
I
break
don't know
right
what's
now. I think it's
okay,
the
okay.
network. It's the network.
Yeah, network is bad. Yeah.
I wonder what's going on. I mean, all through the week that's been fine. It's now today. It wants to be doing somehow,
Willy,
somehow.
Willy.
Really? I haven't heard that in a long time.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, we'll soon go back in. I wonder why
Okay.
why AB didn't come in because he messaged me earlier this morning
Yeah, not.
and I
Hmm.
sent him a message. He hasn't replied. I hope he's okay.
Hope so.
He's in.
Sir Ayo, apologies. I
Uh,
was having a lot of issues with my internet this morning. I don't know what's going wrong.
we've been having internet issues here as well.
Okay. They just
So
responded. Hmm.
uh, we're, we're just wondering, is AB okay? He's not in, which is very unusual. So good to know that you're fine and you're in. All right, we're back in.
Crazy morning. I don't know what's really going on. Sorry.
All right, welcome back to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1 on a Feel Good Friday morning. My name is Ayokunmi Kekere, and of course, my analysts are in with me right now. Analyst with an S because AB Bozimo has joined us. Joseph Obari also with me this morning. Great to have you on, AB. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Apologies for coming in late. The internet has been crazy here.
Well, I mean, sometimes the gremlins decide to get into the tech and give us headaches, but I mean, better late than never. It's good to have you on as well as Joseph. Thank you all for being with me this morning. And once again, for our amazing listeners out there, join us on the conversation by sharing your thoughts on WhatsApp on 0809 440 981 0809 440 981. That's the WhatsApp number. On YouTube, We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, Davey, let me come to you right now because we're jumping into this story coming out of the Daily Post talking about a drop in Nigeria's food inflation. There's been a reduction in the prices of some food items, gari, milk, and other items as inflation dropped by about 0.08% in the month of July. I mean, now that is not really a huge drop, but see, that's the first drop since the year 2022. Now that has to be saying something, but also, yes, the numbers say there's been a drop, but should we wait till we see how these figures are reflected in the market? Because as people who go to buy these things know how exactly it's pinching. So what do you feel about this particular update?
First of all, we've always known that there is a lag between the policy and the effects. Similarly, this this statement by the NBS, who we have every reason to trust, that there's a percentage or so drop in food inflation prices, will take a little time to translate to food prices on the ground. But it would indicate that either there's a break in the fever or there is something that has been done to begin to make this happen, or that there is simply less demand. And that could be because there is simply less money. But one way or the other, it is notable that we have an 0.08% decrease compared to the rates in June. So this is, you can call it, is it a trend yet, or is it a data point? I guess the thing to do is to wait, watch, and see whether this will be a sustained drop, in which case we'll begin to be able to plot it as a positive trend, or whether it's a spot thing that has any number of reasons for having this effect. But whatever it is, I would say on the profile of stories generally about the economy, this could be seen as a good data point. Now we need to be patient and wait to see whether it becomes a trend, in which case gradually we may begin to see the reduction of prices over time.
That is definitely something that we need to see. Joseph, do you want to weigh in on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I just B has captured everything. By the way, good morning or welcoming.
Morning.
You know, we don't know the termite that is eating our network this morning. But we are here.
Indeed, we
So
are.
anyway,
Indeed, we are.
yeah. So what I would say is that just like you aptly said, until we see this felt by people, it just remains the mere statistics. People are really going through a lot, and when you go to the market, you can feel it. I mean, it's just I have had to do some shopping these past few days, and I can tell you that it is not pleasant at all. What this can do to your pocket. So let's feel it. That's all I can say. Let's feel it.
Let's feel it. Okay, now let's get into another story here, and we're going to should I say get into the health side of things, and this is coming out of the Punch. Now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Thursday said Nigeria had recorded a total of 39 confirmed cases of mpox and 0 deaths, which is a good thing, across 33 states and the Federal Capital Territory from the beginning of 2024. Now, the Africa Center for Disease Control on Tuesday declared a public health emergency over growing mpox outbreak on the continent. Now, an outbreak has swept through several African countries, particularly the DRC, that's the Democratic Republic of Congo. And there's a new strain, clade IB, apparently, which has been discovered now. And it's been making its way across Africa. And even in some countries in Europe have reported some new cases of mpox. Now, from a Nigerian standpoint, a Nigerian point of view, what exactly should we be doing to deal with this one? Do you want to take this one?
Yes, this is a health crisis potentially similar to COVID. And the first step is massive public enlightenment. I don't know what is yet known. As I'm sitting here, I've been hearing about mpox on the news threads, but I don't yet know whether there is enough knowledge scientifically about the causes, ways to prevent it, etc. But that has to be ramped up so that people know what to do, what to avoid, actions to take. We are very, very able to act in our own best interest to preserve our health, but information has to be provided. I've seen images, it has some very interesting looking pumps, and it's happening all over the world. That's why they're calling it a health crisis. The interesting thing in this story was the people who are talking about is the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. Then in the second paragraph, they said the NDDC director. I mean, Punch, just do your tiny bit of, proofreading. The issue is that no death so far, so I don't know whether it has the lethality of something like, what's that first one that came before COVID? The one where people started shaking themselves with the elbows. Ebola. So it does not appear to be as lethal as Ebola, but no matter what it is, the way it's spreading, the way the body appears to be deformed by the pox and all that, is not something we want to go through at a national level. And it's a virus. From the little I know, viruses are not easy. In fact, they're impossible to cure. They have to kind of run their course. The body.
Yeah.
So what we need now is a massive improvement in our information so that people can, is it something that's being spread by what we eat? Is this something that's being spread by where we go? Is this something that's being spread by how we interact? We need information so that people can take precautions. But definitely the NCDC is putting the information out there, and we must rely on them like we did in every previous crisis to act right and stay safe. But let's keep our ears to the ground, and let's hope that the NCDC gives us all we need to help the general health of the population.
Very, very important.
I'll just want to add to that by saying that Nigeria has shown some impressive skill in managing infectious disease, right from Ebola, the way we tackled Ebola, the way we responded in COVID. But I think sometimes we are lax in our preparations and information dissemination. We are lucky we are resilient people, we have strong genes, and we are able to battle some of these things. But we shouldn't take these things for granted. 33 states out of 36 out of 36 states out of 33 states out of 36. 6 and one federal capital is quite a lot, and we should be very wary of this trend and keep an eye on how it is growing. And like Ibia has said, the key to it is public enlightenment. I think not enough information is going around as to how this disease spreads. And so it's likely to a contact disease, which means that it jumps from one person to the other. But they will need to have very clear information on what people should do to prevent contacting this disease.
Very, very important. Let's take some messages. Ajayi Olonilua says, this ugly story of the Chinese company seizing 3 presidential jets as a result of a failed contractual agreement is another proof of the maladministration and bad governance the people are crying about. It's really embarrassing. And let me see here. Patrick says, in respect of the Ogun and Chinese company, doesn't the federal government guarantee state loans? That's a good question. And let me see any other message here before we get back in. This is Adegboye Gadiniji, who says, I don't care if it was one state government or governor that was involved in this mess. Ogun State isn't in South Africa. It's a state in Nigeria. There should be synergy and checks and balances, records of activities, loans, and contracts that each state undertake that should be in the know of the federal government. The same Chinese people are everywhere loosely in Nigeria without checks. Is that how it works, though? I mean, each state working independently, does the federal government have to, should I say, oversee, in quotes, what the state government is actually doing in terms of these contracts and so on?
Yeah, but I mean, the federal government, yeah, it does in some cases guarantee the contracts. Yeah, it does happen. So it's not unusual. The listener is spot on because in some cases you need a guarantee from the federal government. But does that, what determines on the terms of the contract, how does that affect the federal government? So
okay. Now
the facts have to come out one way or the other.
Definitely, we need to get more of the information, the backstory of how things got to this particular point. Let's take our final story this morning, and it's coming out of the Guardian. And I want both your perspectives on this one, because of course it's about the NLC, who are once again, unsurprisingly, in the news as they threaten to direct their members to withdraw their services if the Nigeria Police Force fails to apologize for invading its premises. Now, the head of information and public affairs of the NLC, Benson Okwahu, stated this in Abuja yesterday, noted that the organization did not harbor criminals in its Abuja headquarters to warrant the Gestapo nature the police invaded its offices and carted away documents. Gentlemen, who wants to take this one first?
I'll take a stab at it. You see,
okay.
The issue now, they are saying they are threatening to go on strike. A strike that could ground labor activities around the country called Nigeria, based on the potential lack of an apology from the police. It is rare to hear such irresponsible threats. There is a way to go after the police using legal means. They say they do not harbor criminals in their headquarters. That is to be expected. The nature of criminality is that it may not announce itself that, hey, I'm at the gate, I'm a criminal coming to take refuge. Again, I have no idea about the facts of the case. I'm neither on the police side or the NLC side. But for a labor organization to be threatening to go on strike because of a sought apology sounds extremely puerile and childish to me. There are major labor issues. They have not gone into things about safety for workers, etc. Even the famous minimum wage, it is an apology they are waiting for. It's like a child saying, I will not play football with you if you don't put me in the team. For goodness sake, labor, grow up. Give me a good reason to think you are making sense. An apology is not the thing. If you have an issue, go to court. Yes, I said it.
That's all I needed to say here. The NLC should use the courts. Somebody invaded your, it's okay, maybe it's a trespass or whatever you're unhappy about it. Go to court. Don't tell us you're going to go on strike and punish the rest of the world. It makes no sense. I mean, it's simply irresponsible to say you want to go on strike because the police, you have a disagreement with the police. It makes no sense. And labor leaders should please grow up. Like Bia said, grow up. These dramas, we don't need them.
Definitely do not need that. Let me round up with a message here. This is Adidiji, who says, asking the police to apologize is very cheap. The NLC should expose the activities of what transpired that day through CCTV footage of the invasion. Simple. All right. And on that note, we need to call it today on Freshly Pressed. Thank you so much, AB and Joseph, for turning up. It's been a great week. And of course, having you on Freshly Pressed, always a fun time. Always, always, always.
Apologies again. Thank you for listening. Listeners, have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, it's great that we are able to talk despite the challenges today, the glitches. And the listeners, all the best. Ayo, have a great weekend. It'll be great time. Have fun.
All right. Bye for now. Thank you all for being a part of Freshly Pressed. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast because the locker room will be in the locker room at 8:15. Don't go anywhere.